It's always so incredibly hard to leave Connemara. It really is the most beautiful place. But after a long journey, we finally made it all the way back to Cornwall.
He's like, oh, all right. Ern says you ain't the boss of me, just because you're a funky colour. Don't go getting ahead of yourself. Oh, it's so sweet. Oh, right. Who's in charge around here? Are you coming out now? I'm in the stable with Noah, as you can see. Now he's been out in the field on his own, and now it's time for him to go out with the rest of my Connemara's. Now I've got 8 other Connemara's, 1 mare and 7 geldings. Now one of the geldings, Evanos, he's quite stallion-y. He used to be a stallion, so he very much takes ownership of the mare, and I've decided to take him out as well, leaving just my happy-go-lucky geldings. They're all really friendly, really sociable, and hopefully will be a good introduction to Noah, and I think what they bring to the party is going to be a really good influence on him at this stage. And I've also got Evanos, that gelding who's more dominant, should Noah start to be able to overpower my other geldings. But I think at this stage he's not showing me any signs of being like that, so I think he'll get along with them just fine. Let's turn him out and see how it goes.
Noah had met Comet back at the yard, and I decided to lead them across the field together, as I thought it was a bit much asking Noah to walk across the middle of an open field, past loads of other horses and mares, and I wasn't quite sure how he'd react. And then as I got closer to the Connemara herd, I took his head collar off and thought I'd let him just find his own way into the field, as I wasn't sure how he'd react to all the other horses. As it turns out, my Connemara's were just so not interested in meeting Noah. They literally couldn't care less. They didn't even bother to come and say hello to him. I then went off and got Echo, who's been living with Klaus for the last few months, so the Connemara's were far more interested to say hello to him. One thing I have noticed with horses is they don't have an understanding of time. So when I had a herd of bachelors, so I had a group of 5 stallions all running together, Shetland stallions this was, and it didn't matter if you took one out for 30 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 hours or 5 days, they treated them exactly the same when you brought them back in. So it gave me a really clear understanding that horses can't understand time like we do. And so hence why my Connemara's are so excited or interested to see Echo, because they recognise him as a friend and a part of their herd, whereas actually Noah, they just didn't take any notice of really at all until I put Echo in the field with him. As you can see, Noah is only really interested in Echo, even though he doesn't know the others apart from Comet, who he's met a little bit in the stable. But that's because all of the others were really interested in him. So when I put Noah in with the herd, that was one interest, but then Echo caused energy and adrenaline in the herd, and so then Noah recognized that Echo was the cause of that, and so then he thinks, you're of interest, and therefore that's why he is appearing to be far more interested in Echo than he is any of the other boys. This sort of nibbling and biting is really common in young male horses. They do it all the time. So poo sniffing is high up there on a list of to-do job for a stallion. They do it a lot, and it's about marking territory. So actually, as he gets more mature, he'll poop on top of the other horse's droppings, and that helps to mark his territory. Noah's first meeting of Charlie. I think it's safe to say that Charlie was very clear on his thoughts on Noah getting anywhere near him. You can just see here the start of Noah starting to show signs of posturing and herding. See how he sort of cuts in front of Echo and that arching his neck. And as he gets older and more mature as a stallion, you'll see that far more. These are very typical bachelor boy games, and they'll actually drop right down to their knees to cover up their tendons and protect them so that the other horse can't bite the tendon. So these behaviours can go on for ages. They can play for hours. It's quite fun to watch. But what I'm looking for is whether anyone's going to get hurt or injured. And Noah isn't displaying any actual stallion behaviours. He is a little bit more than just a normal gelding, as you can tell by his sort of relentlessness of it. But there's no aggression there. He's just a young lad playing with the other geldings. What I do find really interesting though is the fact that because I put Echo in afterwards, so I put Noah into the other boys and then I added Echo, and that cause of adrenaline that Echo caused by the others being pleased to see him did cause all of this to be about Echo, because normally Echo wouldn't be able to be that interesting. This is purely a man-made. I created this in between them. So as you can see, Echo can hold his own and he's going back for more. He's not at all worried about Noah. But it's just, I find it fascinating the fact that I caused that. So be aware when you're turning horses out, what order you do it in can have an impact on the herd. Okay, it's my first training session with Noah, and I'm using Comet to help me. I train all my horses in the fields. I don't actually have an arena. So what I'm doing is I'm going to use Comet to help me make Noah's world a little bit smaller. So if you imagine I took them into an arena or a round pen or something like that, it's quite an enclosing feeling, so they feel like they're trapped. Whereas in the field, it does the opposite. It tends to make them more awake and more forward and more alert and awake. And I wasn't quite sure how Noah was because I don't know him yet. So I thought if I put Comet in the field and parked him on the block, that would help to keep his world a little bit smaller, because he would think inwardly towards Comet rather than, if you imagine Comet wasn't there, he would be looking out and around him, and I would just be creating a different kind of energy. So my thinking was that I wanted him to be nice and calm and to be able to think about what maybe I might ask him to do. And so by parking Comet there, I was just helping to set that up a little bit better. Now, he's not seen the flag on the stick before. So my first thing was just to teach him something. It doesn't really matter what. And I've chosen here just to try and teach him to yield off the stick and flag away from me and start to make the form of a circle. Now, Noah is a really lovely young boy, but he doesn't know anything yet. Like, you can't trot him up in hand. He's been loose schooled in an arena, but he hasn't been lunged or anything. So he has no idea what this game is. So I'm trying to show him here how to win at something. As I said, it doesn't really matter what you're trying to teach them. You just want to teach them something. I'm using a stick with a flag on the end of it, and I'm using it in a kind of crude way. I don't want to be too careful or too precise or too delicate, because I don't want him to become a sort of kettle, where he has to overthink everything. And, if I move it and it plonks against his side, or if I move it and something twitches, or, he's just got to get used to life as it is. Things happen, dogs are everywhere. The pigs everywhere, not everything in life is smooth and precise, and so I don't think at this stage it's a good idea to let him think that that's how it might be. So I just kind of flap it around and get him to move, and then when he's moving, I just keep it nice and soft and still. But what I'm actually interested in is here. You see there how he was making a really nice shape with his body. He was staying really soft and round. Imagine like a banana going the right way. Because if you think of groundwork is about preparing him to be ridden, he already shows me that he's going to be able to form and hold a lovely, lovely circle on that left rein there. Here I'm just trying to teach him to go again. He doesn't know, so I'm using my voice cue. I'd be saying circle left. And there again, you can see like the lovely softness. And it's genuinely the first time he's ever done it. So, he's really, really soft and really nice. A little bit there, clingy towards Comet, but that's doing exactly what I wanted Comet to do, was to make his world a bit smaller. So he's not looking out and around over the hedges and looking for the other horses. He's just thinking, oh, I'm quite like to go to Comet. Now, this right rein was much more tricky. He got much more stuck, and actually throughout leading him and everything, you can tell he's been led on the left rein, left side, because he can lead really nicely that side. But if you go on his other side, putting a rug on or anything like that, he's very green still. So this way he took him longer to try and find the answer to the question. Here you go. You can see there he's starting to go, oh, is it this? And then he goes backwards, and I'm just trying to wait. But also, if you watch his body shape now, see how much straighter he is. Like, because he doesn't, it's not coming naturally to him, the idea of going around a circle to the right. He's just holding the tension like through his body because he doesn't know. And there on the circle there, you can see he like bounces to the end of the rope. And that's really common, he's a baby. It's super, super common. But it's interesting there, with him, you can really see the difference. The left rein is what I'm looking for. the right rein is kind of not quite there yet. You can see there he's tilting his nose slightly to the outside. His body is much straighter, and he's got that tension through his shoulders and his back, which is holding him all together much straighter and much tighter. I'll give him a quick for that, just because again, she made the circle to the right. Now look, you can see here, this is what I'm looking for. He's so nice to the left. I mean, for a first time circling, I mean, it's insane. He's incredibly good. And you can see there it's highlighted just straight away the difference. He holds his body in a nice shape, so even when he doesn't understand, he's able to think because there's no tension through his body. Comet being a little legend there, just standing enjoying the view. You can see this is like perfect. I would expect a horse of far more experience than him to be able to hold a nice circle like that, but that is exactly what I'm looking for. I think I'm there turning to Jeremy and saying, how is he so good? He's so nice. I then decided I'd hop on Comet and just start to give him the idea of being led off another horse. And, totally as expected, you can see here, because I'm on that right side of his, he's kind of looking and isn't sure and kind of holds himself in that sort of slight tension way again, where he's just sort of locking up and not really embracing coming up to that left-hand side of Comet, and me being on his right-hand side. So I don't really worry about that too much today because this is just his first session, but you can see here highlighted when I pop him back on to my right-hand side where I'm back on his left-hand side, he's instantly more comfortable and is happy to walk around and lets me lean over, and you can just see the difference, and this isn't something that's sort of problem, nothing's happened to him or anything, it's just a product of the fact he's been led on that left-hand side, so he knows that, whereas he's not sure when you're on the other side. So I've just got to try and even him up now with my training. That doesn't mean I'm going to focus loads and loads on the side that he finds more difficult, but I've just got to give him lots of wins so he feels really good, but let him find that place. See there, he was just trying to bite Comet a little bit, and he's obviously been told off for biting before, so I'm just working through that with him now. I even managed to have a little trot on this with him on my right hand side, and he's just super, super lovely, isn't he? I mean, I didn't even attempt to trot on the other side because we couldn't even walk. And then just to finish off, I thought I'll just see if I could get him to circle around me while sat on Comet. And as you can see, he's learnt really quickly, and the circles are actually coming really nicely. He's really soft, really light, and it's just holding that shape really, really lovely. This is kind of the picture that I would be looking for in a young horse, where he's just really soft, really relaxed. And if you look at his whole body, there's no tension showing through it, and that's ultimately what I want, because that means that he's hopefully calm, and then he's thinking through what I'm teaching him, and then he'll store that and he'll have that skill for the rest of his life. So I park him here now for a good 20 to 30 seconds because I really want him to sort of learn how to be really patient between activities, so he doesn't think one thing then the next then the next. It's like, okay, we can just chill out in the middle. Now I have a go at sending him around to the right as well, to see if he can figure that one out. And instantly I was like, wow, fantastic. I mean, look at the difference already. And this is genuinely 5 minutes ago, he was not very happy about circling to the right. And now just having that few minutes to think about it, he's now going, oh, okay. And he's so much better. He gets a bit stuck around there because he sort of trotted and then went too far away from me. You can't really see on the video, but he's kind of at an awkward angle away from me, which is hard to correct. So I just kind of corrected him up there and sent him off again. Again, not everything always has to be perfect. But look how much better that is. You can see how when he's just more relaxed, he's able to just move his body in a much better way. Well, I finished my session there. I'm really happy with him, and it's really nice how he stopped there and had a little distance between him and Comet. And I just couldn't get over how good he was, really. I mean, he's such an intelligent little chap. And I'm just, I like all my horses to be squeezable. So they've all got to learn to be squeezable. So personal space is good. But when you've got to give them a squeeze, you just want to give them a squeeze, don't you? And so he's just learning to come into my personal space and not worry about his head and all of that stuff. What a little superstar he is. He's such a lovely boy. Such a privilege to get to work with him. And not forgetting Comet as well, who's still in his winter woolies, but who is the most fantastic individual Connemara, who is brilliant and very helpful when it comes to training young horses. This is my next session with him. So we've had a few days off in between. I'm not working every day, and I only had about, 10 minutes. So this session is very, very short, but I thought I'd just share with you what I was up to. You can see the circling is coming along lovely. To the left, we've got trot now, and to the right, we've got trot, and to the left, we're looking more confident, which is fantastic. Albert and Ernie were just in the field anyway, so they kind of saw Comet and thought they should stick alongside him. So they're not really part of this, but they're very cute. Working a little bit on that leading off the left rein because Albert and Ernie on the right. Still a bit tense, a bit defensive, but it'll come. This is only the second time I've tried, so it's coming along really well, and he's such a lovely boy. I decided I'd start to teach him to stand on the block, Ernie showing him there how to do it. It actually was more difficult than I thought and took him longer to grasp the concept. So my 10 minutes was about 5 minutes of him just going, what am I supposed to do with this? And he kept stepping over it, but eventually got there, which was really nice. And then after that, I thought I'll start to teach him to park up like Comet does. So not using the block, but just using Comet as basically whatever he does, you're supposed to do the same. So I start off teaching him to stick alongside him and to stay there. And the idea is that I take Albert and Ernie around him in a circle, and he's supposed to just copy Comet. So when in doubt, do what the other ones are doing. And for a young stallion or any young horse, it's always tricky when they go behind them because they want to see what's going on. And as you can see, he draws onto him a little bit, but not really. He's sort of grasping the concept. And that is genuinely the first time I'd asked him. So he's pretty good. And obviously Comet is a fantastic influence on him. I then think I'll start to teach him to just line up a little bit more, to position, actually give him a position on that left side, which might help him out in terms of finding a sweet spot when leading him. But it's kind of very gently, softly, as it was only a very short session. And there I'm just, again, teaching him to do what everyone else does. Horses don't like to be a red sock and a whitewash, so when in doubt, do what everybody else does. Well, I'm on my team, and I thought I'll just leave Noah and Charlie loose in the field, because they were all in the field anyway, quite happily grazing, so I thought I'll just see what he does. Now, this is a very technical, professional thing. I'm just messing around, just desensitising him, really. And then I sort of sent Echo out in a circle, and it was quite funny, it made me laugh that bit, because Echo obviously was been having a bit of a hassling time with him in the field, and it did make me chuckle that Echo thought, no, my circle is my circle, you are in my path, so therefore I'm just going to doof you out of the way. But as you can see, he's interested, but he's kind of chilled and got that sort of happy field chilledness anyway. Just keeping half an eye on him coming up behind them all, that we don't get any bites on the bottoms for anybody. But I'll sit there and just see what he does and let my team just be chilled, as they were all quite snoozy in the sunshine. And then I thought I'd see, because I've been circling Echo, I thought, I know, I'll just see if so I'm saying circle left to him. And I just thought, as it's good rain, I thought I'll just see if he can grasp the concept, especially because horses can learn really well from watching other horses. And I thought it was quite funny, because Echo had been doing a circle, I thought maybe it'll twig with him. As obviously that's the only one skill he has so far. And he did quite nice, he made it nearly all the way around and then stopped. And so then I sent Flint and Barney, and that sort of carried him on around again. You can see, it does help them to make the shape by watching the others. I find this kind of thing quite amusing and quite fascinating, how much he sort of is invested in watching and learning and developing his own attitude. Then I thought I'd line him up, because why not? So I sort of slotted him in next to Nala and on Comet's right hand side. So he's well within his safety bubble, because he knows Comet on his left, and Nala is just Nala. He's just brilliant. And I was really happy that he didn't mind me jumping on from the back and appearing out of his right eye there. He was quite happy. And then I thought I'd lead him around off Nala a bit, as I haven't done that yet. I've only led him off Comet those 2 times in the field that you've seen. And as you can see, again, he is very chill because he's been in the field all day with them. It's not like he's, I haven't just taken him out. He's just been chilling with them. And then the log, I thought he would just walk over it. And then, of course, I'd already asked him, and then it dawned on me that it took me about 5 minutes to get him to put his foot up on a block thing. So then we had a bit of uncertainty as to what this question was. He hasn't done any loose jumping or anything, so he doesn't really have the idea yet. And that's all it is. He's just got to get the idea. So we just sort of parked up, got ourselves comfortable, and then just let him figure it out, because I want him to just have time to process these things, not feel too pressured. I don't need to sort of get after him to get him to jump it or anything. I just want him to sort of problem solve, feel like he can, and then we move on, not make too big a deal out of it. But it did make me laugh slightly, because I thought, just going to walk over it. But there we go. And then I started off asking him to line up, and a little bit like I did in his previous video, where he started to grasp the concept of stay and that idea of do what everybody else is doing. So here we all have to smile for selfies.
So good, yeah. Good boys. The best.
And then while he was loose, and as he'd sort of grasping that concept of park, I thought I'll see if he can just park there while I climb on Nala. And obviously my leg does brush against his side, and it's really nice that he's just sort of happy to just stand there and watch what all the others are doing. Nala, you are a legend.